EMEA, or however do you pronounce that acronym? EMEA, EMEA, or whatever. Hi.
Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Yeah. Europa, Bliski, Istok, Africa, or whatever.
Exactly.
So today, as every Friday, every Wednesday.
Friday?
No.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Doesn't matter anymore.
Take two.
It's March, maybe. I don't know what month it is. But welcome to Ask Me Anything session, where we, your friendly local developer advocates, are answering any questions relating to AWS live on stream. So feel free to ask us any question somewhere in the chat, wherever chat is in the screen. Just point a question, and we will hopefully answer it with enough, competency, as I have an airplane flying above my house. So I will let you all introduce yourselves. So Marcia.
Hello. Welcome to another session today. I'm Marcia Villalba. I'm developer advocate as well as not Cobus and Sohan. So yeah, I can help you with serverless and amplify and random things here and there. Don't ask me about instances or VPCs. I'm not your daughter.
Okay, Sohan, how about you?
Hello. My name is Sohan. I'm working out of Amsterdam. I'm a dev advocate in the Benelux region. Again, ask me about things like Amplify, app development, AI, ML, some of that stuff. Again, I have no clue about VPCs and DevOps, but we have two experts on the call with us. So yeah,
exactly.
It should be good.
Speaking of the other bald person here, and Cobus, can you please show me your hoodie?
You guys are repping AWS.
Matching hoodies. It's cold in South Africa. It's cold. He's wearing a hoodie.
Yes, it's raining. There is snow on the mountain, and it's hailing as well outside. Hopefully it's not on the audio, but it is still 16 degrees only.
Okay.
So it's still hotter than here.
Yeah, we have 16 degrees in Germany as well. So Cobus, please introduce yourself, because everybody else did.
Yes. I am not Darko, also known as Cobus. I am the developer evangelist for Sub-Saharan Africa, with the caveat that I actually joined the same team as Marcia recently. So I am now a global online one. But for the time being, I am still your DA for Sub-Saharan Africa. Like Darko, a lot of background in DevOps. And today, completely badly organized. My camera cables were loose and my mic wasn't plugged in. So I was sitting here going like, why isn't it working? And then, is it on and is it plugged in? Troubleshooting 101. Right.
Okay. Well, welcome, Cobus. We're happy to have you here. That's all fine. We were already... So the only thing we were missing a bad joke. I asked at the beginning, somebody say a bad joke, and nobody could. So
that's Cobus' show.
We were missing a bad dad joke. So think about it while I introduce myself.
No pressure, Cobus. It better be good.
I am. My name is Darko Mesaros. I am a developer advocate based out of Berlin, Germany. I cover in Central and Eastern Europe and Russia CIS. I've been on stream a lot. Have I been today? No, I've been streaming last night. So like everybody else here, we kind of work in the same team-ish. Besides Cobus and Marcia, but we do the same things, especially now during the time of the plague. So, as said before, feel free to ask us any questions in the chat if you are interested for us to talk about anything. While the questions are coming in, I am going to ask Sohan. Hi, what have you been doing so far? Is there something interesting you want to share with us?
Yeah, so I just wanted to build something simple and fun as part of a workshop. So have all of you all watched Silicon Valley, the TV show?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jin Yang, who's my favorite character, builds this hot dog detector, which basically tells you if something is a hot dog or not a hot dog. And everyone's like, dude, what the hell are you building? And of course, later on, there's a different, which we won't talk about, use for that. So I thought maybe let me build like a small tutorial using that as an example. So I just recently built it. It'll be on my GitHub maybe in a couple of days. But yeah, that's what I built.
And what did you use for that? You use like
Amplify for the web stuff and recognition just to detect labels. It's very simple. I sort of thought of getting started to recognition and Amplify sort of tutorial, like a self-paced workshop. Okay. And instead of just going like boring, is this a cat, which everyone does, I thought let me use something from pop culture.
But is a hot dog work like in real world. Like, okay, it's a picture of a hot dog, but would you ever eat a hot dog, off a stand in a shady part of New York? Right? Doesn't work for that.
Well, if you've seen the show, you know what it gets used for later on. But let me not talk about that.
Recognition is pretty cool. I think when I was learning iOS last year, I was building an Instagram app like clone that only allows you to upload cat pictures. Why not?
Oh. Oh, wow. That's
Catstagram.
Catstagram.
It was so simple to use recognition and phew.
Oh, go ahead, Kobus.
No, I was just going to say, have you seen our teammate Boaz's Hummus Detector? So,
yes, I was just about to talk about that. I was just talking about what Boaz did, like a hummus detector. Basically, you would post a picture on Twitter of hummus and like saying, hey, is this hummus or not? And it would say, yes, it is or not. It's not. And I was actually inspired by that. And it's, from a technical perspective, it's using AWS Amazon recognition, but it's using custom labels because by default, it doesn't recognize hummus or any other food item. Well, non-generic food item. And I also built my own detector, but it's a burek detector. And burek is a specific type of pastry we eat in the Balkans. And I also made a Twitter bot, and it was badly trained because it wouldn't recognize all the things. So you would send it a picture of a pizza, and it would come, oh, this is a burek. So, but it really took me. It took me maybe something like I don't know, 27 pictures to like train the model.
Yeah.
It could be done better. But it's relatively straightforward. So I like the fact that you can do it all yourself in the web interface. You can basically just kind of do, how is it called, the labeling of the pictures yourself.
There is a AWS service that you can hire people to do that.
You can do that as well, yeah.
So if you want to do it all the way, you can. Yeah. I think Ground Truth, is it the name?
Ground Truth, yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And hello, everybody in chat. Hi, good morning, good night. I see we have a lot of folks here from all over the place. Welcome to all the new folks. Just kind of a little notification or a little introduction of what we are doing here. Basically, we're trying to answer all of your questions. This is an Ask Me Anything on Twitch. So if you have any
we talk about Boaz. He's there.
Is that Boaz? Oh, Boaz. Yeah. Hey, Boaz. We were just mentioning you and your lovely Hummus Detector. So
if you have the link, share it with us.
Yeah, if you have the link on GitHub, we will be happy to share it here for the folks to see.
I still want to build or train a recognition system to differentiate between Darko and myself, but for the training data, I want to mix equal numbers of photos of him and me so that it just responds with yes.
Yes.
But Stephen used to do that all the time. So our fellow dev advocate, Stephen Bryan, has a twin who also is a developer advocate. And for his demo for recognition.
But for Microsoft.
Yeah, but for Microsoft. But yeah, he actually used to do that demo on stage where he had photos of Dean, I think his name is, and Steven. And,
wow, that's great. So definitely we need to train the model to try to attempt to detect if we're the same person or not, especially when we're matching hoodies, right? So.
You guys planned this out, didn't you?
And by the way,
we
for
didn't
everybody,
plan it.
Hummus Detector, the link down below, that's a link from Boaz, and if basically you can see that Hummus, not Hummus bot. So feel free to tweet your Hummus pictures at that bot. So
we actually are the same person. It's just a different face projection, which is why you'll notice that we never speak at the same time.
Exactly. Let's answer first a non-technical question. There's a question from William Dampier. This is like a question for all of us. What is the path that I have to follow to become an AWS developer advocate like you? Talk a lot. But I'm not sure how to answer this question. Like, what is the path? I mean, I've started by being a system admin, and I've cabled computers, and I've been in premium support, and I'm not sure the only thing that took me. I can say that one of the things that made me talk in public like this is by watching a lot of stand-up comedy for some reason, and that helps me like express myself when I talk, even if it's goofy. But it helped me talk out loud, and that's kind of important that you're technical. That's very important. You're a developer advocate. You have to be not a developer, but you have to be technical, and you basically have to be able to translate that message to somebody else, right? So, not sure about all of you all.
Yeah. Also, make a lot of mistakes so you can tell people how not to do things, because that's what experience is.
Exactly. And those are the most fun things to talk about.
Yeah, I
I
think
actually-
also.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
the-
Go ahead, Matt.
Sorry. Developer advocates are like, I don't know. I consider part of my job is to try to block the noise. There is so much information out there. So my job is to be very opinionated and try to create paths. And that's why we need so much diversity on different people. So then there is different paths for like people to follow and create paths that makes easy to adopt services, adopt the cloud, solve things with good practices. So basically, I'm a person that make decisions on public and people follow me. Sometimes it can be very risky, but that's why it's important to have a lot of technical expertise in this role. So you have at least a little bit of experience working in the area. I think in the team we have people with like 8-10 years of working experience in the field. So then it's kind of easier to take those decisions and share what is a good idea how on building. So that's, I think I do a lot of that.
And what do you think is the job of a developer advocate? Like, I know our job descriptions, but what do you think like a real job of a developer advocate is to do? How would you like wrap that up?
I think it fundamentally comes down to reaching people at scale. So someone on the chat has also asked how is a dev advocate different from a solution architect? And I think as a developer evangelist or as a developer advocate, you sort of reach people at scale. Now, to go back to William's question, in fact, I had a call with someone who asked me the same question. And I think now, especially in this time, there are different ways you can do it where if you want to be noticed by like a company like AWS, you can start reaching people in platforms that you really like. Like, for example, Marcia is really good at YouTube, or maybe William, you're great at like TikTok, or maybe like one of our colleagues is great at writing like, really long, in-depth medium.com posts. And there will be an audience for each of them, right? So it's about doing that one thing really well and reaching out to audiences there with, of course, good content. It can be like a 20-second TikTok video to something that is much more in-depth. So I think that's a good way to really sort of connect.
Explain AWS SAM in 20 seconds on TikTok.
Scale is the right word there. Like that's the main difference, I think, between a solution architect and developer advocate. Usually solution architects in AWS, they work with one customer and they work close and they have opinions and they help you to build, while we have to talk with a lot of people. So that's why sometimes people ask me questions that are very specific on private messages and I never reply because I don't have the scale to go every day and reply 20 different questions I get asked. That's why these places are great for you. Come ask the questions. This is scalable.
Exactly. No, that's a fair point. And I would say like solution architects do the same thing. But one of the things I find developer advocates to be our job is to, what the name says, right? We are your advocates. We are your voice within this big thing that is AWS, right? So feel free to throw stuff at us and throw questions at us, throw comments at us, and we're happy to kind of, hey, we would like to take your input and make things better at the end of the day. We are here for you and, not the other way around. So, just to wrap up this question from William again, do you have a freedom to choose what to work on and what to share? Cobus?
Yes. I actually had a long conversation with someone on this just yesterday. So, how AWS functions is that you're given direction, but you're not given directives. Like we are all told, listen, this is what you in terms of the type of problems you should be solving and the kind of thing you need to do, but the how is entirely up to you. So good example of this is that I just finished the webinar this morning, and it's like, well, webinars are good for the customers because they learn from them. What do you want to talk about? Well, I thought doing a series on Amazon Kinesis Firehose and AWS Glue and Amazon QuickSight, because that allows you to take your data from one side through the funnel, transform it, and then ultimately display it. And that's an example. I chose that completely. It's entirely within my power. So yes, we've got a lot of freedom to choose what to work on. Obviously, if you choose to go work on the beach and work on your tan, that might be a problem, and it will be addressed. But generally, you've got a lot of freedom.
I haven't heard of these AWS services, AWS Beach and AWS Tan. Sorry, I'm not familiar.
It's Amazon Tan. It's not AWS Tan.
Amazon Tan because it's available to everybody else. Yeah, so it's not an inclusive AWS feature.
Just to be clear, there is no services like that. In case we get in trouble.
Yet. Okay, cool. So thank you all for the questions. I mean, a lot of people do come up with questions regarding our positions and what we do and how do you do it, because it's a very visible role, and I see why people would like to hear about it. But let's actually move to a technical question. There's from Nitesh. I would like to connect to my S3 to my Lambda. I know I can do it with API Gateway, but is there a way that I can detect whether a request coming to the API Gateway generated from my S3 static hosting? Oh, so okay, I understand here it's a static website hosted on S3, and you want to invoke some Lambda functions. Is there any other way,
Well,
Marcia, to do this?
you can use API Gateway, and I think that's the most secure way, or then put a load balancer in front of your Lambda. You could, if you have security enough, you can always call from the Lambda will give you an endpoint that you can use. You don't need to use API Gateway, but then you will be exposing and really coupling your application. So I would recommend you to use either API Gateway or some kind of load balancer that you get an URL, like application load balancer, to make everything a little bit more decoupled and secure. So
Definitely,
if that's the case.
Yeah. I mean, I would not invoke a Lambda function from a front-end application directly using JavaScript.
you have that's something people don't know, that Lambda, when you create it, it has an URL that you can call directly, but that's something you can use really for internal things or places that is extremely secure. Then it's okay. But I will always put an API Gateway in front, and you have the ability to throttle and to make sure that there is some kind of authentication and you are giving the right permissions to invoke the function, and you have more control on it.
Okay, fair point. Thank you. Thank you, Marcia. Another non-technical question, but it's a very important one. How to change people's mind on DynamoDB? Now, where is this? I have a proper thing. It depends, because what is the bad experience coming from that person? Is it maybe DynamoDB or a NoSQL based database was not the correct thing for that use case? Because one of the things that we like to talk about is that there's a right database for the right job, right? It's no longer a single big old database that does everything. You have multiple types of databases that can do different types of things. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to answer this, but
well, I can answer.
Go. Okay.
I'm a Dynamo fan all the way. I have not been using SQL databases for a very long time.
Me neither.
And I understand that there is, it depends, and in some cases it makes sense. If you want to change your mind of your manager and you know that it's a bad case, I will leave you a talk in the chat. That is the Rick Houlihan talk from Raymond. I think this is one of the most powerful talks on convincing you on why SQL databases are not scalable and they don't work in the large ecosystems of applications, and how you can do NoSQL databases, right? And if you watch this talk and you take the main pointers, then you can go to your manager and maybe try to convince them with really good technical arguments. But again, it depends of your case. If it's a super small application and everybody's familiar with SQL, well,
No,
but if you are building something that needs to scale and needs to be big and needs to be maintained and needs to be there forever, I think Dynamo is like the best database in the world for most of the use cases when you are building applications. For other cases, well, we have different, but I will put the link there so you can.
Okay, we'll share the link. Go ahead, Kobus. I have an addendum to this question, but
okay, same. Sorry, my interjection's a little bit delayed because I'm all the way down in South Africa, so I've got about 180 millisecond lag here, so it's fun judging it. But I mean, what I found is also successful is that if you want to bring in any kind of new tech in a company, firstly, you need to show the value of that tech. So maybe if there's a non-critical portion of your system where you can add that tech and also get more than one person excited about it, because remember, there's a risk involved in only one person knowing something. But if more than one person is excited about it and knows this tech, and then you show them, hey, listen, look, we built this non-critical system, look how well it performs, look at the benefits, then that person could go, okay, well, let's play with this, let's keep an eye on it. And that's how you show them in the long run and build up that trust in it. Because I think it's a case of they got burned somewhere, and that's why they don't trust this new tech.
Yeah. And also explain the use cases. I think, and this is a question coming from Quinn Kwan something, I'm sorry. Like, what is the use case of DynamoDB? Like a transaction, e-commerce transaction site? I don't think this is the correct use case for DynamoDB, but
You
maybe
can do
Mars-
ACID transactions in Dynamo pretty safe. And again, when you're using Dynamo, you need to rethink your application.
Yeah.
Do you really like when you think about? I'm working banking for many years, and when banks do transactions, financial transactions, they are not locking the whole database. They are doing different types of validation. So sometimes we rely on what we know, that is SQL, and we block the database, but that can, in a big application, can cause a lot of problems. You don't want to create deadlocks. So transactions maybe are not the right way to go. You need to rethink your application to make it idempotent, to make sure that when you are writing in the database, you're writing and things are coming in one chunk. But that's design of databases.
I know a lot of games use DynamoDB for their database because you have high read-write, especially like Battle Royale games, which have like 100 people playing at the same time, so many stats just coming in and out, almost...
It can be much faster than a traditional database.
Exactly. Yeah. So they use.
And you can always mix databases because Dynamo is not it's not the solution to all your problems. So maybe you can use Dynamo for your core data, but then mix it with Neptune for recommendations, with Redis for leaderboard, with Elasticsearch, because Dynamo has the power of the streams, the DynamoDB streams. That is, I think, one of the best features that the database has. That is the ability to send a message whenever something changes in the database, and that allows you to create different workflows, and that's totally asynchronous. It's not affecting your load, because if you are using SQL databases, when you trigger things, it's really affecting the database. But when you're using Dynamo Streams, it's totally asynchronous and it's extremely powerful. So I think if you are thinking of moving to Dynamo, first it's very important to learn Dynamo and learn the features and what it has. It's one of the best databases there. It has won many prizes, and a lot of databases have been inspired on it. So I think it's worth the time to learn it.
Absolutely. And I think, again, everything has its own use case, and don't treat everything as like black and white. It's either this or that. It can be both. There's so many options you can use there. So absolutely. Another less technical question from Ahmed. Is there a method practice you suggest for selecting what side projects to develop for learning and enriching your GitHub repository? How to organize ideas, features, etc. in the right app technology? And just in addition to his question is, cool projects like Hummus Detectors that reflect skills and nice to play with and build. Anybody have a comment on this?
I do.
Kobus.
Once again, I've had this one quite a few times, and what it boils down to for me, and I found the best way to approach it is that pick what the unknown is that you want to deal with. So for example, if you already know a language and a certain set of, let's say, services, pick something that you don't know the problem shape, like building, let's say, some kind of cryptocurrency system if you've got no experience in it. You know at least how the services work and the tech works, so you've got a good starting point. Or pick a known problem and an unknown tech set. So in other words, you want to build a Hummus Detector, you know what it needs to do, but then go figure out the tech. Because if you've got unknowns on both sides, you're going to get stuck in analysis paralysis and not be able to move forward because you don't know even how to get started. So always have a component in the thing that you're trying to build that you know exactly what the shape is of what it is that you're trying to do. Because that way you can at least get started. So let's say a Hummus Detector. You want to be able to take hummus, so start with, I've got some hummus pictures. How do I go about image recognition? Because that's the unknown then. So you've got a starting point that guides you to where you want to go.
Very fair point. Yeah. And I always say, keep in mind that do what's fun as well, right? It has to be fun for you. Don't do it just for the sake of doing it. If I did my Burek detector because I was inspired by Boaz's Hummus Detector, and that was really fun. And I'm like, okay, let me try to do that because it's fun for me to develop and create things that see if it works, right? So that should also be one of the reasons you do those things. Okay. A CDK question. And I think we answered this a few times. Why most my demos our demos are in TypeScript? Because there's more examples of it, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's horrible because we just add more samples to TypeScript. Any other language is equally as good, right? And we've Kobus and myself actually played with a few languages. We did some Python, and we did actually some Java as well for CDK. And besides the scaffolding around it, like the virtual environments or setting up Maven and builds, and for Java, everything is the same. Like you have the same set of features. Well, with an asterisk, maybe something is different, but nothing major is different. So I would say that I've started with TypeScript just because there was so many more examples on TypeScript than Python. And now that I know CDK to an extent, it's much more easier for me to switch into any other language that I'm more comfortable with, like Python. And I think the goal behind whatever Cobus and I do is to create more content on the CDK and have more examples out there for everybody else to try. So, okay.
This is a great session, by the way. Lots of questions. I love
Lots of questions, yeah. Well, that's thanks to Marcia and her lovely audience from YouTube. Thank you very much, everybody coming from FooBar Serverless. Just to kind of add to this, Satya says CDK is built with TypeScript. Yeah, exactly. So the main language of CDK is TypeScript, and it's kind of everything is being done with JSII. It converts everything else via JSII. So it's kind of the same thing. Why is it? It depends. Remove it.
Satya is an AWS hero, by the way. Hey, Satya.
Oh, hey, Satya. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi. And
I think
welcome.
he's
Nice.
based in Romania right now. He used to be in India. That's where we met.
I think
So
I know.
you might run
who he
into
is.
him. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, very good. There's a question. What about images? What about them? DynamoDB RS3. Can you store an image in DynamoDB? Does DynamoDB? No, it's not. It doesn't support like binary blobs. No. Okay. So S3. That's the solution. I mean, you can create.
You can create a database
Exactly,
with
yeah.
the links.
You can create like an index or a database that points to specific images. That could be one point. Yeah. Satya, again, documents for TypeScript are better than Python. I would agree to an extent. There are some cool things in Python docs that don't exist in TypeScript docs, so check it out. So Ganesh joining from London, missed the start of it. This is just an Ask Me Anything, so feel free to ask us questions in the chat. We are all developer advocates coming from AWS, based in the EMEA region. So feel free to pop a question in if you're interested of us answering that. Oh, Marcia, a lot of serverless questions to do. I wonder because they come from your channel. But
Yeah. They make me work.
there you work. There we go. Earn those subscriptions, Marcia.
Yeah.
So developing
So
REST
this
API.
question is in two parts.
Okay.
So
I will. This is the first part. Developing a REST API using AWS SAM to create a large number of resources, more than 200. For this, I'm using a nested stack, but I'm getting error that API gateway resources should be used where it is defined. So
interesting. But you should be able to reference it
yeah,
with no problem. Maybe, I don't know. I have not created that big stack with SAM yet. But maybe instead of using the SAM definition of API gateway, you can go through the CloudFormation definition of API gateway. It's a little bit more verbose, but it for sure will allow you to do the reference in the nested stacks. Maybe that's something we need to feel as a feedback to the SAM team when they have multiple nested stack. And I'm writing that down.
Okay, good. We're taking that as a note. But yeah. I mean, in essence, SAM is just a little bow on top of CloudFormation, so you can use anything that's CloudFormation based as well. So you can do all the benefits of defining an API gateway through CloudFormation.
But it's more tedious. It's so easy to do it with SAM that it's just 2 lines. And then if you want to do it with CloudFormation, I don't remember how million of lines it is. Right. So I understand that you want to embrace SAM as much as you can. But sometimes if you are making such a big infrastructure, the other question is like, why you want to build everything in the same stack? Can you split it up just for the sake of your mind? It's so hard to have such a big application coming all together. It's like that's a totally different question for you. Do you really need to have it in one big application? I think a good practice in general is to build these logical microservices and build like little chunks of SAM templates and keep them independent from one another. It makes your debugging, your deploying, and everything so much easier, because now when you're deploying everything at the same time. It's just everything super coupled. So that's something
Marcia,
for you
is
to
there a trade-off there with something else though, by like maybe performance or something? If you
What?
split everything up versus using it all in the same.
Well, it's
Is there a trade-off?
maintainability. Performance at the end of the day is the same, but maintainability and sanity of your mind. If you have multiple things that are smaller to control, it's easier for your brain to function and to figure out the errors and to deploy. Everything is more independable, deployable, and not you're deploying like 200 resources at one, and then if something fails, like how everything is related. And also your deployment packages are smaller, so deployment takes shorter time. So at the end of the day, if the app is well constructed, it will perform the same. The resources are the same, but it's not only about the performance in the client side, but it's also the maintainability of the application and how you can explain that to someone else.
Yeah, and I would just add one thing. If your microservice has 200 Lambda functions in it, it's no longer a microservice, right? So try to maybe just split it up, or the goal of going serverless is actually reducing your code. So if there's a lot more things happening there, maybe you want to just split it up. That would be my advice, because if you overcomplicate, no matter which framework you use for deploying infrastructure, no matter how good the framework is, if you have hundreds of resources in a single template, you're introducing complexity where it's not needed. So maybe just get a new microservice.
And also not just complexity, you're increasing your risk, because if you make a typo and accidentally drop a production database, ask me how I know, you don't want to do that. So try and split things a bit more, because then when I'm working on service A, I don't drop production database B.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Thank you, Hamza, for the question, and thank you, Marcia and Sohan, for commenting on this. Just to answer a question, Millennial Spark asked, "What is this podcast about?" Oh, is this a podcast? Can we call ourselves podcasters? Yes, that's the 20.
Well, we don't share the screen. We are fine. We are.
Okay.
The moment we share our screen, we are good.
So this is a kind of an Ask Me Anything thing about AWS. So if you're interested in getting your AWS questions answered from the local developer advocates such as ourselves, you're more than welcome to ask us a question here, and we will try to answer it in a relatively competent way while trying to act serious. Okay.
That was the wrong show.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of comments on DynamoDB. This is something okay. So I'll read this, but I don't understand anything here. I see DynamoDB as not allowing add GSI using CFT post table creation. It throws an error table already exists. Is there any straightforward to add GSI?
What is CFT?
I would say it's CloudFormation. I would say it's CloudFormation, because some people use CFT
CloudFormation
as a
template.
Yeah, but what is GSI?
GSI Global Secondary Index. So the two of us, we can make the table. It should allow you to create a global secondary index after post creation. So that should not be a problem.
Yeah.
Maybe you are, the problem with CloudFormation is that if you are doing too many things at the same time, the template will complain. So if you're removing an index and adding an index and doing blah, 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 then no. You just add your index, you deploy the CloudFormation template, then go and do other things, and then it should allow you to do it.
Yeah.
At least it always worked for me. But if I get too greedy on what I want to do, everything at the same time, then I always get a complaint.
Abinaya, one of the things you can try out here, if you create this table using CloudFormation, and you want to update it by adding a GSI, by updating the same resource in CloudFormation, unless it tries to destroy, delete, or replace the table, which it shouldn't, you should be fine. So I think that would be a problem here. Just a quick answer. I'll plug myself here. Wow. Okay, let's put money in the jar. Any hands-on lab for CDK? There's two labs. There's I'll put the money there. There's a CDK workshop. This is not mine, so this is just a general CDK workshop, which I'll post here. And that's just a great way to do a CDK workshop. But if you're looking for something written by yours truly, I've actually created a serverless workshop with CDK on GitHub, and I'll paste the link here. You can check it out as well. So it's a hands-on thing. Basically, it takes you through how to build something on CDK. The workshop is a bit more structured, and my workshop on GitHub is basically a long README file with some example code. So take your pick.
I can also
Cobus,
I also want to put money in that jar. So it's part of the other part there is I'm on the Terraform side of things, and I'm actually busy with a small Terraform series of things
yes.
on YouTube. So I'll also put money in the jar.
Yeah. Cobus does amazing things with Terraform. So he has a YouTube channel where he does Terraform videos. So check that stuff out. Everybody's asking about CDK. CDK is the new serverless, I think. So everybody's asking about that. So Ahmed asks, can you kindly share any blogs, YouTube channels that allow us to learn CDK? So join Cobus and myself, the two bald bearded people here. We do we do stream every Monday and Friday, and a lot of times it's actually focused around CDK. So Cobus, can you just share the link to our YouTube channel? So and then you can check it out there.
Sure.
Yeah, and smash that subscribe
I
button.
have one complaint about the stream, though.
What?
You guys have stopped drinking on the stream.
I know.
Come on.
I mean, to be honest, drinking at 11 a.m. in the morning is a problem. But
Hey, it's 5
me
p.m.
out.
somewhere.
Exactly, it's 5 p.m. somewhere. So I may be spiking my coffee. You never know. Maybe just put some rum in my coffee. So there's a question. This is a long question we can answer. How does Amazon, how AWS manages their services to be highly scalable?
You have 3 to 5 hours, Neha.
Huh?
I said, do you have 3 to 5 hours for us to answer this question?
This is a question. But Cobus, do you have an answer, or do you want to?
Yes, I am getting the link quickly because it is a 3-word answer. Let's see if the team knows the answer. It's only 3 words.
Oh, is this Dr. Ferner's blog?
Everything fails
close.
all the time?
Okay.
Also close. No. The Builder's Library.
The Builder's Library.
Yes. This
That's a very
is
good
if you want to
resource.
learn how we build things and the things we've learned about building things at scale, this is an absolutely awesome resource. I'll highly recommend that you go read through there. So these articles are written by our principal and distinguished engineers around how we solve specific things. For example, there's one on capacity planning. Like, how do you do capacity planning for services when you also take into account, let's say, one availability zone is going to go down? And the short answer is that you figure out what's the maximum capacity that you need. And if you spread across 3 of them, you need to add an excess to all of the 3 ones, because if one goes down, the bit from that you need to handle goes to the other 2 and needs to be able to spread over there. So that's how you think about capacity planning and things. So that those articles in there are insanely good. So I would highly recommend you read all of them.
Okay, yeah, fair point. I think they're a great read, and they're like a really technical documents. Like I wouldn't call them even white papers. I think it's more like real technical documents on how to do things. Speaking of white papers, somebody asked you, Marcia, in the chat, do you have, wait a second, I've seen this somewhere. I'm trying to find this out. Somebody asked about DynamoDB. Yes, this one.
I put it in the screen.
So if you have something to share.
I do have, and this is a book that Alex Debris, our data hero, wrote on, and I think it's the best resource for Dynamo. Actually, Rick Houlihan is the kind of principal advocate. He's not an advocate, but he's one of the top guys in the Dynamo, has recommended this book when I interview him. So this is like, I think, one of the best resources to learn Dynamo. I will put it now in the screen. You can go and get it, and it's totally recommended for learning. Also, I would recommend Rick Houlihan chats. He has a weekly stream on Twitch where he answer questions and he goes in depth in some particular topic. So you can also check those out and find his talks in YouTube as well. But there is not really a lot out of Dynamo that is good, because the problem is that a lot of people do Dynamo wrong. And if you just find any material, then you might be trapping yourself. So I recommend this book a lot. I will put the link.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Marcia. One other thing I would like to mention here. There's a quick question here. Yes, this is the DynamoDB book. I love the URL. It's just the DynamoDB book. Good on him. A question that Cobus and I can answer. CloudFormation, CDK, or Terraform? Yes.
Yes.
Doesn't matter which one you use. Use the one that fits, that you are most comfortable with and that fits your use case. If you're doing serverless, maybe SAM or serverless framework would be the best way to you. If you're doing anything else, I mean, to be honest, CDK does serve serverless as well. Good. So yes, if you're the best programming language is the one you're good at. So take your pick.
But also, I recommend playing with all three just to get a feel, because they do have different ways of solving the problems and different kind of like thought patterns around them. So definitely play with all three.
Okay. Another CDK question. Any CDK workshop in Python? CDKworkshop.com has a CDK workshop in Python. The one I've did for serverless is currently only in TypeScript, but expect me to change it in Python as well. So there's going to be a version for Python. So just keep an eye out on that on the repository. So I'm currently in the works on that because I'm a fan of Python. Now, Marcia, have you worked with a serverless framework before?
Yes. Yes, before joining AWS, that's what I use for all my production projects. So
maybe you can share a thought.
I think it's a great framework. I think, again, it's up to you to decide which one you use. They have very similarities with SAM. So the difference is that Serverless Framework is an open source project. It depends for a third-party company. It's built with this idea of plugins, and the plugins are also open source things. So they have the good things and the bad things. They are maintained by the community. So sometimes things you can extend the framework pretty easily with the plugins. That's one of my favorite things. But again, if the plugins are not updated and they have bugs, those bugs will come to your application. And sometimes the plugin maintainer decides that he doesn't want to maintain. So are the same things always that when using open source components? If nobody's really maintaining it, then you are kind of screwed. With SAM, it's owned by AWS, so everything that is there, it's working. And if it's not working, you can always raise feedback, and we are coming and try to fix that feedback and everything that we can. So it's only you can only use it for AWS, different with Serverless Framework that is available for multiple clouds. But that's a different story. Do you want to do multiple clouds? We can get into that conversation another day.
No.
But they're both great, and they do more or less the same. So it's just up to you to pick one which you're more familiar with and which one are you more comfortable with. If you want to start and you're all in AWS, why not SAM? But why not Serverless Framework? It's a matter of taste. I have only good things to say about both.
Yeah. I would say like it's yes, that's the answer. So in this case, cool. More CDK and serverless and state machine. Now I need to admit I have no idea how state machines work and how to use them. So a question for Pedram. So best way to define a whole state machine for step functions in ASL and provide it as ASL with CDK. So I guess a step machine language or something like that. ASL, I don't know what ASL is.
Well, you define a step function. You have to provide this kind of state machine. I don't remember the type of the file.
Okay.
I have done it with SAM, and it's extremely simple because it has the integration for that.
Okay.
I've never done it with CDK, so I don't know how to do that.
Is it possible to do it with CloudFormation? Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
If it's possible, then you can do it with SAM, right? So you can do it with CDK.
With SAM, you can do it. With CloudFormation, you can do it. And I can, if you want to do the CloudFormation, I can leave you a link in the script, in the comments.
So, and if you insist on doing it on CDK because you do other things on CDK, mind you, CDK supports all CloudFormation resources. So there's a type of construct for CDK called a CloudFormation construct. Basically, it has CFN in front of the name. So if it's a state machine, it will be CFN state machine, right? And then you can use the same property, same parameters as you would do in CloudFormation. So it basically translates this to vanilla CloudFormation. So you can definitely do that as well. Okay, CI/CD. Guruk Trivel. I was going through Developer Associate and I assigned CI/CD pipeline. Is there a workshop particularly for code build, code deploy, code commit, code pipeline services use cases? Workshop would be good. Oh, there's that. Oh, there is. Yes, go.
So I can actually, if you are happy to join me in 1 hour and 16 minutes, on the same, well, not quite the same URL, depending on where you're connecting from. If you're on the official AWS chat, AWS Twitch, we are doing the Let's Code session on getting started with the containers. And I'm doing a demo on how to get an Elastic Beanstalk service up using containers and setting up the CI/CD pipeline for it. So 1 hour from now, just come back to the AWS Twitch channel and you will see me do that.
Yeah. So definitely do check. This Let's Code series, it's going out like every week, right?
Yes. So that's the short answer. So,
Okay.
And the long answer is that it's something that's currently breaking my brain, to be honest, because what we're doing is we have got the session in the APJC region, so
Okay.
Australia, Japan, China, that side. Then we've got the EMEA version, and we're currently busy scheduling the US version as well. The only challenge there is that we want to host it on Wednesdays, and Wednesdays when Let's Code happens in the APJC time zone, that's actually Tuesday in the US, and I've been trying to reconcile that in my brain. It's breaking me.
Okay. Okay, cool. So just one more thing to add here. If you Cobus want to paste the link. I'm pasting a link to a workshop available on GitHub. So if Guruk, you want to have a look at it, it's a Mythical Misfits workshop. It's basically a modern application development workshop on GitHub from AWS, and it does a lot of CI/CD stuff there as well. So if you're interested in that. So just another comment. DevOps Pro goes more into deep in CI/CD pipeline. Anybody done a DevOps Pro exam at AWS? I haven't, so I wouldn't know. But
It's on my list.
yeah, but do check out what I did a video on CI/CD pipelines with AWS Code Pipeline. So if you're interested in that, oh my, so much chilling. So 1 second, you let me add my channel here. So you can check out my channel where I have some CI/CD stuff as well. Okay.
We'll paste that link. Here we go. Sorry, it took me just a few seconds to get it.
That's fine. And
There we go. Cool.
This is a question maybe again for Marcia, because Lambdas and code pipelines, you did this with Sam, and I saw your presentation once talking about this. Simplest way to automate code deployment.
That's my talk on Reinvent. I just
Reinvent is free this year, folks. So
for 3 weeks. Basically, the easiest way is to create a pipeline, and I will share you a video on how to do it. And there is also the code available in GitHub. So basically you can clone that pipeline and change the name of your function, and then you're good to go. And there you will get the 2 stages, the stage and production, and you will get safe deployments, testing, and everything built in. So you just need to add your function there or whatever code. So that's my pipeline I use for all my projects without just replacing a couple of parameters, and that's it. So it's super easy. You can build a code pipeline in 3 ways. At least that's how I do it. From the console, not recommended because you cannot duplicate it. From a CloudFormation templates, that's how I do it, because I use the same CloudFormation template over and over again. And now my plan is to build the same pipeline that I do with CloudFormation with CDK. I imagine it will be less than 400 million lines, and it will be easier to tune. And in that way, you can create your pipeline, and as the pipelines are more or less the same, you can just reutilize them over and over again.
There we go. I would always say do it with code, but yeah, that's how you do it. You do it through code. Absolutely. Serverless sample projects for learning demo purposes. Like it's a question from MS. Do you have some sort of workshop or a sample thing in your GitHub, Marcia, that you can share or something like that? I'm
Check
sure.
my YouTube channel. Every video has a code repository attached to it. I always make all my code published. So I have, for example, for front end, I have a whole series on Amplify where I build an app. You can go and check it out. For the pipeline, I will share now the link. I'm looking for it. For serverless, I always have different code repos. So go and check that. And always in my GitHub, all the code is available. So you can just navigate there and see what you find. But everything is attached to a video, so you know what I'm building and what I'm doing. So
good. One question from Juan is kind of, again, infrastructure as code. In our projects, are personally adopting SAM CDK for managing serverless AWS infrastructure. Sohan, do you do some infrastructure as code yourself?
No, I've basically just started watching your streams. So I'm just getting my feet wet.
What does it look best? Is it JSON, YAML, or CDK?
I've just started, so
just started?
I'm not. Yeah. In fact, on Cobus's previous stream, I was like, "Hey, how do I get started?" And Cobus was like, I think there's this Twitch show that I'm doing that you can get.
Yeah.
So,
So absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, I would say that I use CDK most of the time because I find it I'm the most comfortable with it. I did use CloudFormation before, but I find that CDK does things just better. It's easier for me to do CDK than CloudFormation. It achieves the same thing. So. Sohan, there's a question here. I'm not sure if you can answer that. Maybe that's 1 second. I found it somewhere. Something
about this question that's currently on the screen, though. I have built like an Alexa skill using SAM and serverless, though. So I'm a little more familiar with that. I've not done CDK as much. But yeah, there are a ton of, if anyone's interested, I used to be on the Alexa team before. If people are interested, there are some templates to just get started with, like, a SAM to build the back end of a skill. And I think I've written one, which is there.
Don't say her name. Don't say her name too loud because
we
call her the lady in the tube.
Okay.
So, but here's another question for you, Sohan. AI services like image effect blending. Is there what kind of AI services can we have for images besides just recognition? Is there something we have more?
Not that I know of. I think recognition is the only image service that AWS has, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I mean, and recognition comes with like detection, labels, that sort of thing. I don't quite get the question, to be honest.
Okay.
I think the question is around some kind of service that allows you to manipulate images and change them. I think personally, the only thing I've seen here is people building systems using image magic or other open frameworks to modify the image in some form.
Yeah. So I would imagine here that this person wants a AI service that detects an image, and I mean the AI service will not do anything with the image, right? So there is no service that we have that will modify images per se, but I think you can use things such as AWS batch or code build to do something against the image or Lambda itself, and use things like image magic and to do those things. You can use.
Can you do SageMaker models to create weird machine learning image? I know nothing about machine learning and artificial intelligence, but it came to my mind this Google image alteration thing. You remember that it was so creepy?
How do you call this?
That was.
It's so creepy.
Scary as shit.
Yeah, I was like, when I saw that first time, I'm like, wow, that's nightmare material there.
But maybe you can make it with SageMaker.
I'm sure you could. All right, let's see what else. Another questions from Suraj. Should you recommend AWS SAM or serverless framework? Yes. Again, Marcia, seriously, is there a feature parity difference between SAM and serverless that you know of?
Well, as I said, serverless framework, it's made by a third-party company. Okay, so when things come, but you can extend them with CloudFormation. So if it can support for CloudFormation, you can do it with serverless framework or SAM. The main difference, in my opinion, is the multi-cloud support. So if you have that need, that's there from serverless framework. The plugins capability that serverless framework has, that's something some people like. And then in the SAM, you have the it's totally maintained by AWS, so everything should work and everything is tested and everything is super integrated. So for me now, SAM was kind of green, I think 1 year ago when I started using it. It was very painful for me to start adopting it. But I will say now that it came more mature after reInvent, there were a lot of changes to it. It feels very easy to work with SAM. So it really depends on what you like and what you're used to. If you have not tried anything, just pick one and you'll be fine. It's just very hard to tell you which one you should go. And I like them both personally. That's why I don't have an opinion on which one is best. So I think they're both great.
again, it depends, right? And it's also like, of course, if you and let's be honest, with the relatively recent introduction to CloudFormation and CloudFormation Registry, you can actually do multi-cloud things with with CloudFormation if you want. So perfectly possible. It's complicated, but it's perfectly possible. So yeah, you can do that. But there may be a better ways to do it. Here's a edgy question, or maybe a scandalous question. Which scripting language is easy? None. So I'm not
The
sure.
obvious answer is Perl.
Perl, yeah. Or Visual Basic Script. The VB Script is just...
No, I think that one comes back again. What do you know? Because I mean, anything, if you know that it's a scripting language, then yes, it'll be easy. And the joke about Perl is just that Perl is one of those languages that's super hard if you have no idea how to use it, or the syntax is difficult to understand. But the people that are Perl experts, they can do things in this much code that normally takes like 5 pages sometimes.
I've seen one-liners in Perl
it's
that are
impressive.
ridiculous.
But I mean, for nowadays, I would recommend have a look at Python, because it's available on most systems. So there's a very good scripting language. You can easily invoke it directly. So that's a good start. Bash, or some kind of shell script. So I know Bash doesn't work as well scripts on Fish, which is the other shell, but yeah.
So Bash is great, and it's it will work everywhere. But Python gives you more flexibility to do things. So I would highly recommend Python. And if you're a Windows person, PowerShell. End of story. Don't use Bash, just PowerShell. Goes a question for you: how to move away from Terraform?
So I had to look at this one quickly. I agree with that one. The ADF, I had to Google this, which is the awesome AWS open source deployment framework. It doesn't look to be an AWS project. It's a different service. So my feeling here is that, so I've actually done quite a lot of multi-account and cross-account Terraform configuration. I actually did a talk at the recent HashiTalks Africa session that I'll link in the chat now. My feeling like that is like, it's always if the new service that you're using seems to be solving more of your problems and it actually fits your problem space better, then always move to it. I haven't worked with ADF yet. What I would say is move to one of them. Don't use multiple different tools with bits here and bits there. Figure out which one solves the problem the best and try and move everything across. Also take it as a learning opportunity. So if you decide we are moving everything to ADF and you move it there and you realize that this is a bad decision, it doesn't solve exactly what we need, then always just back out again. Nothing is set in stone. There are very few things you can't change.
Yeah, I agree. Don't complicate things by using multiple things just for the sake of using them. Stick to one. And I mean, migration patterns are, a lot of code rewrite in this case, but do it chunk at a time, right? What else? Just a quick answer for Juan. Does CDK support all? Yeah. So I mean, if CDK doesn't have a direct construct available for HTTP APIs, or it does. I mean, in this case, it does. But if it doesn't have something specifically for that, there's always a CloudFormation resource. So if SAM supports it, CloudFormation supports it, CDK supports it. So yes. Okay, what else? Mr. Sohan, fraud detector. You've done some talks on fraud detector.
I have, yes.
Maybe we could, like, this is something I also gave a little one sentence about, but I'm not really familiar on it. Maybe there's a good source of information you can share.
So I actually haven't seen, so there are a couple of case studies on the website. I don't know if there are good tutorial videos that I have seen. There is a very good workshop which is about fraud detection on SageMaker, and I'll put the link up, but that's not about the fraud detector product itself. So if you're interested in that, I can put that link up in a second. That's on the AWS GitHub. I've just put it in the private chat, guys, if you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me paste it. I'll paste it on. So this is a GitHub sample on AWS GitHub page, so you can check out the fraud detector, how you can work with it. So thank you. That's basically, I guess, something that people would like to have a look at. Here's a question from Vivek, and this is again a question we won't have time to answer, but maybe Kobus, you can do it in a single sentence. VPC. What is a VPC? Go.
A VPC is the virtual private cloud, which allows you to create a private network segment inside your AWS account inside AWS. So it's a private section of network for you.
Okay, there we go. It's a networking thing, right? Subnets, internet gateways, route tables, that. Of course, it goes much, much deeper, but we have just a couple of minutes remaining. So I want to make sure that we try to answer all the questions here. And if we have not answered your question, I'm so sorry. Do join us next week at the same time, the same place. Is there something else we can do? Answer in a quick question? No, but here's the thing. If you have any more questions and you want this answered directly, please reach out to us either by the various YouTube channels here or Twitter that's scrolling in the bottom or LinkedIn. You can find us all there. We're happy to answer these questions whenever we can. Well, thank you, everybody. First of all, thank you, everybody, for joining and asking all those questions, because if we keep talking to each other, it's no fun. It's always fun to answer questions from you. I've talked to these people every day. I would much rather talk to the chat. Ooh, huh? Edgy. So thank you for all the questions. Thank you all for joining here. And next week, at the same time, at the same place, do join us. So every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central European Time, or 12 p.m. a.m. p.m. Eastern European Time, same time for African time, and 10 GMT or British time. So thank you very much, and we really did enjoy this. And also thank you very much for.
And for the ones coming from FooBar, next week I will not be doing this, so just go directly to the AWS Twitch account where you can find the session and you can ask all your questions. I will be appearing once a month, and I will let you know in the YouTube channel where I'm happening.
Yeah, we may not always be on Marcia's channel, but twitch.tv/AWS, we're always there. So, well, asterisk. Most of the time we're there. But thank you very much, everybody, for joining. It was a pleasure. And thank you, everybody, for helping answer the questions. See you next week at the same time at the same pace. Thank you. Bye-bye.